your host, Abigail Wright, and today I have the pleasure of introducing you to my dear friend, Brandon Mayberry. Brandon and I met while singing in the ensemble at the Metropolitan Opera, where he started in the full-time chorus in 2008. A native of Worcester, Ohio, Brandon studied at DePaul University and Indiana University, sang at several prestigious young artist programs and in opera houses, and made his solo debut at the Lyric Opera of Chicago. While living there, he co-founded what is now considered the city's oldest all-cupcake shop. Their company, Swirlz Cupcakes, prides itself on making quality baked goods with healthier options, all while contributing to countless charities and giving back to their community as a whole. Since moving to New York City, Brandon continues to work with Swirlz and to give back to his world here as well. In 2011, he even donated his kidney to his now husband's mother, Riki. He earned his health coaching certificate at the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, played on the New York City Gay Basketball League for 3 years, and then traveled around the world with his now husband, Yaron, before they were married in 2014. It was a beautiful ceremony, and Yaron and Brandon are really wonderful together. Oh, and he's also made his debut at the Metropolitan Opera in several roles now, and he continues to sing in their full-time chorus as well as outside the men. Brandon, I'm always honored to spend time with you in today's conception. Thank you so much for offering to bring us into your home today.
Thank you, Abby. It's absolutely my pleasure, and it's nice to sit down and have a chat together.
I've always wanted to ask you, what drew you to opera? Have you always wanted to sing?
Actually, no. I didn't grow up in a household where there was music playing a lot, or there was this tradition, unlike some of my colleagues whose family had been listening to opera and going to opera at an early age. For me, I actually didn't experience my first opera until I became a student at DePaul University.
Oh, wow.
That was the first time I had actually seen an opera, and I had made the decision, it was a total leap of faith, to become an opera major without having been to an opera. So it was a bit of a leap of faith, definitely, to say the least.
Tell me about the serendipity that led you to donate your kidney to your husband's mother, Riki. What are the odds?
Probably about 1,000,000 to 1.
Wow.
Or maybe a little more if you ask Yaron, who's done all the statistics to determine exactly what the chances are that we would be a match, and that I'm not related. And so anyhow, yeah, it was a big decision for me.
I bet.
I initially wasn't going to put throw my hat in the ring, so to speak. I was very much on the sidelines, waiting to see if someone within the family was going to be an eligible donor. However, over time, it fleshed certain things out, which then eliminated some of the family members as possible donors. So when that came to light, and then also there were other potential friends that may have been interested, but then for different reasons decided it wasn't for them. I then, had enough time to think about it, and over that process of watching how this all matriculated, and then eventually I decided, this just feels right. I am still going through this kind of renaissance of compassion where I'm learning about. I became a vegan right before, maybe a year or two before donating the kidney.
Oh, wow.
There were all these elements that seemed to be coming into play where I was learning to kind of awaken my compassion for not just other people, but maybe the world, and some of the things that I can do on a small scale level to help make the planet a healthier and better place.
I remember hearing that Swirlz raised over $20,000 for the National Kidney Foundation, and that they support one of their local charities, the Ronald McDonald House, just to name a couple of their causes. How did charitable giving start out as a model for your company?
Well, this was born out of our feeling of community within Chicago. Chicago is known as a city of neighborhoods, and we very much were aligned with our neighbor at the time when we first started our shop was Children's Memorial Hospital. So it was a very easy fit for us And we found that mothers and children alike would come into the store and feel as though they had an escape from what was, in most cases, a pretty dreary time at the hospital. They could get away, and it brought them some happiness. And so we realized, wow, our reach within the community, even just a block away, is much larger than we initially realized. And so we became involved, in much more, in different ways with other charities, and realized that we really had a community backing us that sees our presence within the non-for-profit world as something that they value, as well as our cupcakes.
It's a nice win-win.
Yeah, exactly.
And I bet you were really thankful for that sabbatical year off when you and your husband, Yaron, traveled around the world together.
It was a great opportunity to see all kinds of amazing, unique destinations in the world. We did a safari in South Africa, which was, for me, life-changing. I mean, it was just amazing to be part of this primitive, unstaged circle of life. I was in Turkey during the protests that were happening in Taksim Square. The riots had really reached a whole new level that involved, rubber bullets and tear gas and reporters from CNN all over. It was very much a standoff between the government and the police forces and the people that were inhabiting Taksim Square. It was really amazing to be in that space, a little scary, thrilling.
I remember seeing something on your Facebook page about some Pakistani students that you saved.
Right. It was pretty phenomenal, and I guess I can thank my ears for that, because we were on a sailboat, and we were headed into port for the evening in Turkey, and I heard a yell off to the side of our boat. Immediately our captain looked over and was able to identify someone floating by. Fortunately, they had a life jacket around their neck, but they were Pakistani students from what we understood. The Coast Guard came in once we announced that there was a rescue mission.
What a year.
Definitely made me realize that the world is certainly full of all kinds of forces, and we live in a country, fortunately, where we don't have to worry about a lot of basic things, like going to in Africa, in Zambia. I went to a village, and to see people living in huts, mainly without shoes, and to be making these most amazing carved wooden creations, figurines of animals, which were just beyond incredible. They were just so well done. They were willing to practically give them to you for a pair of socks or the shirt off your back, something that took them hours to create. They were just that desperate, and it was really humbling.
I know that you're incredibly busy as a Met chorister. Do you have any habits or traits that help you to stay happy and successful in such a busy life?
It's important that I get to the gym at least 4 or 5 days a week. That helps me stay sane when we're under a lot of stress. And then, of course, living in New York is also stressful. So I need to have something to help neutralize all of that stress. And working out for me is great. And also, too, with the Met, we end up wearing very heavy costumes and standing in one spot for a very long time. And that actually is more tiring than if I had the opportunity to be a little bit more active on stage. Yeah, so it's good for me to be able to get that extra energy out, but also to help manage the stress by working out.
If you could pinpoint just a couple of reasons for your success in life, what would they be?
For me, like with opera, for instance, it wasn't something that I was sure about, but once I was sure, it was full steam ahead. And for me, that moment came when I saw an opera at Northwestern School right outside of Chicago. They did a production of La Boheme, and it wasn't until I saw La Boheme that I really still wasn't convinced. But after seeing that opera, I was like, wow, this is totally a magical art form, and that everything about that opera spoke to me in a way that I really hadn't had that experience, that aha experience until that point. And from that point on, it was really, I really channeled so much of my energies into to trying to be the best singer I could be, the best performer I could be. And I'm fortunate I had great teachers along the way that were encouraging, that gave me that certainly gave me the skills to be able to do what I'm doing today. So yeah, I mean, for me, it's also being grateful for all of the things that have happened that have allowed me to get to that point, even, to discover opera. For me, opera was an unknown, factor in my life, and I had no idea what opera was. And to think that here I am making a living as an opera singer was, years later, is just still kind of befuddling, But I'm just so grateful.
Brandon, I'm always so grateful to spend time with you, and today for me is just another example of your kind and generous spirit, that you're willing to give of your time and your heart and your wisdom to us today. It really means a lot to me, so thank you.
Thank you, and you're very welcome. I'm really amazed with your ability to sort of detect and bring out these elements through an interview and to share that with other people. I think it's a real talent, and I'm very appreciative of you taking the time to do this.
Well, you make it easy. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And thank you so much for joining us today on The Piece of Persistence. Give us some love via your comments. Share us with your friends if you like today's episode. If you want to hear more, there's an extended audio version of each of our episodes on our iTunes podcast. Thank you for tuning in, liking us on Facebook, and subscribing to find more ways to balance the happiness and success in your life.
But if we've forgotten what really makes us sing and dance at night, it's the people around and our dreams that lift us up.